Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of our introduction to the Java programming language. In this lesson, I'm going to introduce the Java syntax to you, and we're going to cover content such as the use of semicolons and curly braces. You will also know what reserved or keywords are, as well as the entry point of a Java program. At the end of this lesson, you should also know how to create a new file and print a line of code on the screen. In this lesson, I'll be introducing you to the Java syntax, which refers to the rules that govern writing code in Java. I often like to think of creating an application program as writing a storybook that contains different named chapters. It's as well typical of a storybook to have a contents page that has a list of all the chapters that are within that storybook. Similarly, in our projects, we have a package that lists out all the files that run the main logic in our application. Currently, we have a single file known as main in our package. And if we open up the contents of this file by double clicking on it, you would see we have the full name main.java. Now, there are certain rules that guide creating files in an application, because in a typical Java application, you would have to create several files to handle different aspects of the application logic. So one of them is in creating a new file in a project, the first letter of the name of the file must be in uppercase and it will have an extension .java. So let's go ahead and create a new file by selecting our package, right clicking on it and creating a new file here. So we select our Java class. So let's assume this application is for creating a calculator app, and we need to create a class known as calculator. You would see that a class, a file calculator.java has been created for us, and we are greeted with some messages here. The first line in the contents of this file is package com.jim, which simply means that the file that is created is under the unique name com.jim. We also have the public class calculator. Now, the words package, public, and class belong to a set of words known as reserved or keywords that have certain predefined meanings. They can only be used for the purpose for which they have been predefined and cannot be used for something else in the Java application. So what that simply means is that these keywords have certain predefined meanings. Now, the word package is simply introducing us to the unique identifier of our entire application. As I've said in the previous video, that if you want to publish this application online, it will need a unique identifier that will refer to your application. It usually starts with a reverse domain name. So if you are working with Facebook, it will be com.facebook or com.meta. And then we also have a semicolon. A semicolon tells us the end of a single line of code, which is similar to having a full stop in a sentence in the English language. If we go ahead, you would see we have public class calculator, and the public also has a predefined meaning as well. Public usually tells us that the contents of this file can be accessed by other files in the application. And the word class, you can kind of think of it as like a type. So for instance, in a storybook, you want to introduce the character John. You would say John is a man who lives in a small village. Now, John, like in the English language, is a proper noun, is the name of someone. And we have the calculator, which kind of also refers to the name of the file. So the name of the file, the calculator, which we have here, must also be exactly what we have here. And then when you say John is a man, you will say it's synonymous to saying calculator is a class in Java. Now we have calculator here. Calculator is a class, and what is declared here must be exactly the name of the file. So if we decide to change this to calculators, you will see we have an error message that tells us that class calculators is public and should be declared in a file name calculators.java. What that simply tells us is that whenever we create a Java file, we must also have this declaration public class, the name of the file. So whenever we decide to change the name, let's assume we are changing this name to, if you want to change the name of a file, you right click on it, go to the refactor, you go to rename, and then you can just simply say calculators, and you will see at that instance we changed the name of the file. The name of the class is also changed as well. Let's go back to our main.java and see some things that are very interesting. So in our main.java file, we have public class main. This main matches the name of the file, as we've said earlier. And we also have a set of braces. We have a set of braces that contains a block of code. So usually in a Java file, we'll have a set of braces after the declaration of the class, and all our code will be written within this set of curly braces. There's also an important rule to take note as well in the Java application. In a typical Java application, we must have a class that has this declaration. You remember at the point of creating this application, this class was generated for us automatically, and then we have public static void main. Now, as I've said earlier, that the public keyword tells us that this class can be accessed by other files in the application. We also have other keywords as well, such as static, such as void, and we also have like a name of this static void called main. Now, for every Java application that we have, we would have a class, a single class that has this exact declaration. Now, we are going to discuss more about classes when we go into a concept known as the object-oriented programming. But for now, it's important to know that for every Java application that we have, we must have a class that has this exact code written just the way it is here. And then this portion of code is the entry point into our application. So if as a programmer you are building an application that helps a computer to run calculations, at the point where the calculator is being launched, this is the entry point of the program. Whatever code is written within this block is what is going to run initially at the start of the program. And then we have these two green buttons here that tells us that this green button is the entry point of our application. If you click on this and run main, you would see our application starts running. Now you can write this exactly the way I'm going to write it here. So imagine if you want to print out a message for your application. So at the point of launching your application, you welcome person and say welcome to the calculator app. You will do something like this. You will say system out print, and then you have welcome to my calculator calculator app. So we can click on this green button here to run it. And then if we go to the messages that are below, you will see we have welcome to my calculator app. By the time we discuss the concept of object-oriented programming, you would understand why we have this kind of declaration here. So in order for you to print out a message on the screen, you use this command, which is system out print line within these braces, and then whatever message you want to print out on the screen would be within quotes. So everything within these quotes is what would be printed out in our console. This command is simply telling you that the system should print out a line that has this message, welcome to my calculator app. Now, if you remember, we said that the semicolon refers to the end of a line of code. So whenever you write a complete line of code that kind of refers to like a complete sentence in the English language, you will end it with a semicolon. If I don't put in the semicolon, I will have an error message here. So I have to put in the semicolon. So don't forget that this class was created automatically for us, and this was also created for us as well. So whatever block of code we write within this set of curly braces is the initial point of running our application. And we have this that we're simply telling the system to print out the line, welcome to my calculator app. I hope you found this video interesting. Please give it a thumbs up, like and share.